it's weird. Like you would, I guess, acknowledging the work I was doing, or I am doing, I should say, 'cause I'm still doing it. You know, I know a lot of times for me myself, it feels like I'm not really putting as much work as I could be. Like sure, I got the podcast, I got the platform, I started it. Yes, maybe, or literally, a lot of other people, especially let alone my age, cannot do that or are unable to do that, whether it be mentally, financially, anything of the sort. So yes, I'm blessed to be in a situation to be able to do so, most definitely. But on top of that, with I guess well not yeah, I guess being cognizant of that myself at least, like that okay, I have a laptop to work on, no excuse, I have a charger, have an outlet that I could charge my laptop on, got a mic right next to me, headphones, all that, right? Being able to do so and having um the uh the materials to do so and all of that opportunity to do so, however you say it. I don't know, sometimes it just feels like I'm not putting in enough work. Like I'm not recording enough episodes, or I'm not doing enough research on how to um branch myself out to these other platforms. I know TikTok is definitely one like I really gotta focus up and work on, because Instagram, as you were showing earlier, that was my Instagram feed, or the podcast Instagram feed, I should say. That's easier for me because I'm more familiar with that. Twitter here and there, sure, but I'm more familiar with that than I definitely am with a TikTok or even a Twitch. That's a harder app to branch out on or even really get in tune with, because that's more so on the consistency side of things, especially if you're just starting things out. Maybe that's a little too much to say. Maybe I don't care, but for real, it's something. It feels like I know a lot of time for myself. Like I really, I don't know. Like people will tell me, it's like I really do beat myself up a lot. Let alone about the podcast. I don't feel like I'm not putting in not putting in enough work.
Hmm.
Especially on top of that, seeing how hard you work. You're like on the computer every other day. You know what I mean? Right now, same spot, like not every other day, literally every day. If you're not, it's because you're literally not able to. You know what I mean? Like you're working, so it's like okay, different situations, different ages, sure, different responsibilities. You being the father, me being the son, sure, but it just yeah.
What are some of the things, I guess, or what would be some advice that you would have for someone who may be watching this, whether they be young or old, thinking of creating something or doing something or connecting? So, two-part question. One, the first part would be, what would you like to share with someone out there, or a piece of advice for someone watching this who may have the inability to connect with their parents because they're veterans and because they deal with things? What is something you would say as an advice to someone out there who maybe doesn't have the relationship they want and are trying to work towards a better one? Not saying that you have the best relationship, but there's lessons you learn even in the things you don't have. And then the second question we'll circle back to is, what would you say to someone out there as far as creating and just taking a chance and just doing it from your perspective?
As far as the parent piece and growing a real connection, or the connection that you long for or want with your parents, let alone them being veterans, and that um not helping with that situation, that making it more difficult. I'll speak a bit on my own experience. I know for like me and you and mom, again, like one thing with me, real talkative, real straightforward, and of course I would love the type of anytime my friends or former friends, people I would know from like middle school, especially when we first moved here, or any of the people I know in high school, a lot of them, when they would talk about their relationship with their parents, they would talk with them as if they were their best friend, their sister. You know what I mean? Like they could talk about literally every and anything. Sure, I would love that, but I'm not gonna say that's not reality. But that's never really been the case for me and you and me and mom. You know what I'm saying? Sure, we're working on that. We're definitely working on that, and that I'm happy for. And I could look forward to. I could look for. Excuse me. I could look forward to, as far as us growing more of a connection. Like yes, father son, mother son, yeah, but just really starting to get to know each other more as people. You know what I mean? Like okay, I'm your son, yes, but what about me as the person? Like son aside, title aside, military brat aside, me. You know what I'm saying? What I want to do, what I choose to do, all that. Who I am as a person, what I'm you know. So I could definitely appreciate that again on platforms like this, where we can literally just find an excuse to talk, or we're not busy or faking being busy. You know what I'm saying? We could literally just talk. So that I could definitely appreciate. As far as that being for you out there listening with your parents or your loved one, your relative, anything of the sorts, I think it's gonna be awkward at first. If you're the type like me or similar to me, like you really just want to grow more of a relationship or talk to them more, it's gonna be awkward, kind of just like if you're with your father, for example, or your mother, and you're just sitting at the table and it's like dead quiet. Y'all not eating. Y'all are just sitting. It's gonna be really awkward. Like it's just gonna be dead silence. Maybe you'll notice it. Maybe your parent will notice it. Maybe not, and you're just quiet. But a lot of times, my father would say, or me, or I will say, just bring something out, splurge something out. Not something random or I wouldn't say dumb, but it's not something random exactly. But like, hey, I did this thing today. Oh, okay, that's good. Spark a little bit of a conversation from there. Maybe it'll gradually go. Maybe it won't. But I know from experience, still working on that, you and I, me and mom, all that, just literally taking that first step. It's really difficult, especially I wouldn't say it even gets easier. It becomes a little bit more awkward a little bit. It might seem that way at times, but it for me at least it's gotten better. And I hope for you it'll get better as well. But really just taking that first step, whether it be through talking or whether it be through showing through an action, getting them something, doing something for them, having them do something for you. Just taking that first step and being consistent with it as well. Not letting it be a one thing type of experience as well and leaving it at that, like, oh yeah, we're good. No, being more expressive and more honest, whether it be in a more verbal fashion as myself, or maybe being in a more expressive type of way through an action, or maybe again, maybe sending a post or something that they may be interested in, or you might be interested in after the fact, you know. But yeah, taking the first step.
I love that. Um, and to the part of taking the chance to just create and just do and getting out of your head.
Literally, look, I classify myself as an overthinker. I haven't been medically diagnosed as, I don't even know if you could be medically diagnosed as overthinker, but that's just me. Talk my ass off, sure, you probably might not think that, but as I said earlier, like sometimes it'll be to where I'm literally just staring at the wall. That's it. In my head, can't get out, seemingly can't even move in that sense. Not to be too descriptive or get too into it, but that's really how it is at times, a lot of times, if that. Again, for me, as me and my father discussed, it was really difficult to even pick up the phone, literally, or and press the audio memos or record, so I could record something. Not even doesn't even matter what the hell it was, just recording something, saying something, rather than just being in my head or writing it down, but not saying it, just leaving it at that. So again, adding off of what I said earlier, just taking that first step. And trust me, I know it's definitely easier said than done. I've been there to an extent. I'm still there at times. Sometimes it's really difficult for me to even get up and record. Whether it be procrastination, insecurity, me questioning myself, overthinking the overall, whether regardless of all that, or not even in spite of regardless of all that, being cognizant and conscious of all that, aware of all that, just being like, all right, what can't, again, like I was saying earlier, which is a motto I stand by. Not to say that I follow it all the time, 24/7, because I'd be lying to y'all, but I got to tell myself regardless and get on myself, because again, like my father said, you are your biggest critic. You're your biggest competitor. You're your biggest competition. So getting myself like, all right, what can I do today? What's my schedule looking like? What can I do right now? Am I doing anything right now? Should I be slacking off? Can I rest? Or let's get to work. So again, if you're starting a platform, really what I'm trying to get to, you're trying to start a platform. It's gonna be hard recording that first episode or publishing even that first episode and putting it out there. I remember I dropped my first episode on Christmas Day. I had like, I wouldn't even call it an anxiety attack, but my foot was tapping for literally an hour. I was like, had I was filled with anxiety. You know what I'm saying? It was really surprising too, because I was so confident in recording even, and I was like, oh yeah, it's the best episode, whatever, whatever, whatever. And then I drop it. It's like, all right, I'm shaking. I'm shaking. You know what I'm saying? For an hour straight, couldn't even eat. Just like, all right, let me chill out. You know what I'm saying? Hoping my family and them notice like I'm like really shaking right now. I'm really nervous, but just like not to trademark Nike, but for real, just do it. Like literally, just take that first step. Being honest with yourself, and from that, just doing it. Because actions really do speak louder than words, and in doing so, by making that Instagram account, by making that TikTok account, and making those videos, by dropping that first episode, by doing whatever it may be that you're interested in doing or really thinking of, being honest with yourself, and then from there just moving forward. And it's a daily battle. It's a daily battle for real. It's not just a one time thing like, oh yeah, I got it, and then mission's complete. You could just do it, whatever, or it's done. Like no, it's it's a daily battle. But if you want to do it, if you understand why, or even if you don't really understand why, because at first I didn't really completely understand why. Like, sure, I wanted to help people, I wanted to do this, it sounded interesting, sure, but I didn't fully understand why. You know, that's a part of it. It's major reasons why, but still don't even. But I have a, I had a concept, worked on it, was stuck in my head for a while. One day, again, help with the talk with my fault and some other peers of mine's. I just did it. Didn't really understand why or where it was even going to go. You know, the podcast now is probably way different than I ever thought it was going to be, or in the direction it's going now, at least. But I recorded it, and I'd rather be here now and just recording. Maybe I have a bad episode, maybe I don't, whatever. I'd rather be doing it now, having known I took that first step and having that burst of anxiety or rush of anxiety come to me, than be in the position I was before, just writing and jotting stuff down, contemplating and ruining the situation for myself before it even begun.
So, what would be something that you would say, I guess, you'd like your mom to know, from just everything you've been through, all this got to this point today, as we kind of wrap up here for the, month of the military child, what's something you would like your mom to know?
Um, Sorry for being such an asshole sometimes, like literally. I know I'm still like that sometimes. I'm a smart ass, as y'all like to call me, all that. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes not, but I am sorry. I love you. For real. I know we say it a lot and we don't really, maybe sometimes it feels like it's kind of repetitive and we don't exactly mean it, but truly I do. And I feel like a lot of the times I let the actions, maybe intentionally or unintentionally from you, again, whether it be intentionally, unintentionally, if you're even aware of it or not, sometimes I feel like I let those actions, whether it be past, current, or whatever, really affect me and affect how I act towards you a lot of the time, and how, like, maybe I'll lash out at you a lot of the time. So sorry for being such an asshole, and I do love you. I'm more of an understanding now of how you are. Maybe not to the fullest extent, but a lot of times, maybe when you'll have a certain, not remark, but say a certain thing towards me or act a certain type of way off of what I said, I'm trying to be more understanding of that. If not, I'm already more understanding of it now, I feel like. So I'm learning, it's like, again, like I was just saying, with it being a daily battle with the trying to get out of my head. It's kind of like a daily battle trying to, like, really starting to understand you more, not just as my mother, but just as a woman, the woman you are, the stuff you've had to go through to be where you are right now. So um,
I think it's something that's missing with people, right? It's you don't have the ability sometimes to see folks that can be creative or tap into something, and for you to do that at a young age and have the world view that you have, and how you look at things. I think it's a maturity that comes with life lessons that you've had to deal with and go through. So whether that was vicariously through service, what we've dealt with, what we've done with, all that stuff means something, and I'm proud of the person you're becoming. I'm proud of the young man that you are, the work that you're doing. It's crazy to see you actually creating stuff and doing stuff and interviewing people, and doing the stuff that I'm still trying to figure out myself. You know what I mean? So when you hear someone else is, being, impacted or motivated by what you're doing, it's just like, well, crap, I'm trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing to begin with. You know what I mean? Let alone teach somebody else how to do something. But that's the punchline of life. You know what I mean? All the heroes that we have, the people we look up to, they're figuring it out just like you are. There's no difference between a 17-year-old kid trying to figure out how to do something, even if he sees his dad does something. Well, guess what? The punchline is dad is trying to figure the shit out too, and he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. You know what I mean? All I know is, hey, it's a military month child, so let's go ahead and have some conversations. Let's do some things, and we'll see where it goes. And the one thing I've learned over the time is to just let go of expectations. You know what I mean? Let go of expectations and just try to move in intention. And for some people, that's hard. People don't like, the way that comes across. But, I would say that beyond being proud of you, the challenge for you is going to be to balance, like we said earlier, that creative, energy, and not be too hard on yourself. Because the reality is you'll eventually start to realize how to move in intention. And sometimes that might come in a way that people don't understand it. right? Like, why did you wait so long to do this, or why did you do it that way? Because that's just the way you do things. That's the hardest part, of being a creative, but it's also the hard part even in parenting, right? Like, I live my life this way, so I expect you to live your life your way. No, what I mean, you got to figure out your own path. My job is to try to give you some tools, at least, to not kill yourself in the process. You know what I'm saying? Like a little cub. But eventually, you're gonna have to make your own way, right? Before you know it, you're off to college and you're off doing things. And really, this is just now about, hey, if there's something that we can do, or I can do, that I can share, or life lesson that you can take the context from. That's the key, right? So I will say to you or anybody else, especially on the parenting side, it's the context. I talked to another veteran child, and he's actually in the service himself. And one of the things that he mentioned was, him having conversations with his father, who's in service and now he's in service, was putting aside the ego and not challenging, and just really getting down to the part of, hey, this is what I need, right? And voicing that, and not in a way that challenges, right? Because, like, what do you mean you need this? I gave you a roof over your head, and you're not wanting, and you have all these things, and that's a challenge. Right, that's what it is. When you're challenging someone, it kills that, because it's like, what do you mean you don't have what you need? You have everything you need. I provided. Blah 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 blah. It's like, okay, yes, you did all that, but what I'm saying is, can we have a conversation? And that's a statement, but it really, how do you get to that point? So I think the context for many people is something powerful to look at. Right, there's a lesson of my life that hopefully helps Khamari out, but at the same token, it doesn't mean he has to live my life for that lesson. The lesson is the lesson. You know what I mean? It's just like, hey, we got disconnected 2-3 times. The lesson is reconnect and just keep pushing forward. It doesn't mean you have to get on a daggone system like this. It's the lesson. Things happen, you move forward. So even in life, there's things I've learned or gone through. That doesn't mean you have to do what I did, but what was the lesson, right? And even down to the way you talk to your mom, what's the lesson that you carried on, like you talked about, with other folks, not having that quick to judgment piece and so forth. So, I'm proud of you, like I said, for what you're doing, for the things you're gonna do. Like I said, your leaps and bounds ahead of many folks. I know, obviously, me and your mom are gonna razz you a lot for stuff and always give you shit, because that's basically the way we just do things. So you don't have just one military parent, you got two of them. And dark humor and the way we see things obviously adds to that. But the reality is, at 16 years old, I didn't have the concept of putting together a podcast, let alone putting it together when I was 17 and moving into all that, nor did your mom, nor did many people watching this. So you have the chance to do something unique. And I guess that's the take home message in all this, which is, you can create and craft the life that you want to, how you want to, on your terms. Right, the lesson is, I had to do what I had to do. I had to deploy. I had to provide. I had to do the things I had to. That's just what it was. But I had to, because my options were limited because of what I could do. The options you have, it's not just go to college and do stuff. It's, you have the ability to create your life, right? So let's have a conversation about financial literacy. Like we talked about, right? What's the difference between an investor? What's the difference between an employee, a business owner, or a self-employed person, right? Understanding that, like, we can break, the cycle of what things are and talk about more things. You can have a swag shop, you can have a website, you can sell merchandise, you can have things that help people out, and you begin to create sources of revenue for yourself. That's a possibility that's not just limited to you, but anybody else, because it costs you this much to put a podcast together. Because the reality is, even if you did it from your phone, everybody and their mama nowadays has an iPhone or some kind of device, and you can record a note. So you don't have to be real fancy with it. You can start anywhere, and as you start to create, you'll attract the things you need. So, that's about be my advice to you and my points to you there. Obviously, we'll have more conversations going forward. So we won't get too emotional with all this stuff today, but like I said, very proud of you. And even seeing, like I said, what you've done, it's hard to, hold back emotions, because it's like, you did all this stuff, you've done all this stuff, and I'm proud of you for it. And that's just, to me, it means something. You know what I mean? It's, you chose to put something together and you saw it through, and to me, it says a lot, because I know a lot of folks that, again, they've talked about doing stuff, but you've recorded your episodes, you did your thing, right? And you're figuring it out. You don't know where it'll go, but you're doing something, which beats nothing. And regardless of what, you're perfectly imperfect, just like the rest of us. So I appreciate your time, obviously, even though you don't have much of a choice. in jumping on and having this conversation. And we will be back for more conversations with Khamari and his conversations of self. We'll have the links and information to what he's doing and the work that he's doing going forward. But I appreciate you. I love you. And we will be back next time.
Love you too, Pops. Appreciate you. Peace.